Welcome to NewsNale, episode 22, brought to you from beautiful Belgrade, Montana, on this Thursday before the Super Bowl. Getting a little snow, which is great. We need the moisture for skiing, but or more importantly, for fishing next summer. Today, we're going to summarize our latest office hours and talk about the Super Bowl. And so, quickly, office hours, if you haven't been following along the last month or so, what are office hours? Head on over to nailsed.com in the upper nav, hit office hours, you'll learn all about it. But what it is I hold office hours every other Wednesday. Our next one will be February 21st. I do two sessions. One is live from 8 to 10 in the morning at the Mukai Coffee House, which is the old, is it Cold Stone or coffee house on 19th there, next to the liquor store. Maybe you know that better. And then I do it in the evening via Zoom from 5 to 7 p.m. all times Mountain. The Zoom link would be provided once you RSVP. What do we talk about? Who's it for? It's for anyone. It's not just past students. It's not students that are still in school. It's for anybody going through any kind of transition. If you're transitioning from high school to college, if you're college to your first internship, college to your first job, you've been in a job for a year or so, you're thinking about changing roles or changing a job. You just started a job, your manager's not so hot. How do I ensure success? I'm going into a review, how do I make sure it goes as well as it can? I'm interviewing, anything like that pertaining to business or transitioning in your life. I'm here to provide whatever value, hope, or support I can. We've had two sessions now. I think we've served over 10 folks here, both live and via Zoom. So come on out, sign up. Would love to see you. Love to see if I can help you out. So what happened in this office hours? A bunch of stuff happened. I just took three of them, but we talked about a range of topics. And the three I took was solving problems, control what you can, and dress for success. And let's get into it. What do I mean by solving problems, making decisions, right? So you've probably been faced with a challenge or a problem at work that you need to solve. And this example was local retail, selling pet supplies, pet foods. Surprise, in this town, having a tough time hiring and retaining people, right? Not a big surprise here in Bozeman. There are more jobs than there are people to work. The cost of living is so expensive, people that can work these jobs can't live here. And so you're left with, who do I hire? Many companies in the past, hey, I'm going to hire students. There's always problems with that. You were students once, we're all students, we're a little flaky. Oh, mom just sent a ticket to return home to Minneapolis for the weekend. Sorry, I can't show up. So how do you approach these problems? Well, one thing you should try to do is challenge the assumptions that were previously made to solve the problem the first time and it didn't work out, right? Challenge any assumption out there. Why is this assumption there, right? Never assume or never settle for, well, we've always done it this way. This is the way they did it before. Or if you're working for someone else, they'll tell you, we always do it this way. Try not to accept that. Why do you do it that way? And are there other ways to do it? Are there other ways to solve the problem? Because in decision making, it's generally not A or B. It's A, B, C, or D. And if you don't like the choices that you're getting, create a new one. Create new parameters so you can make a new decision. So if you're hiring for retail, maybe the first thing you do is, who's coming into my store? Who's buying my products? Who is my target audience? And why are they coming in here? And who do they want to talk to? The other thing to do is look around. Who else has solved this problem, right? We have lots of retail here in Bozeman, like any other town. We've got Home Depot, which is high service. Well, we'd like to think it's high service. We've got greeters at Walmart. We've got folks walking the aisles at Target. Do you want to compete with them? I don't think you want to compete with Target. They just or McDonald's, they keep upping their hourly wage. I think they're 23 or 24 bucks an hour here, plus offering somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 of tuition assistance. So you may not want to go after that student. Maybe go after your target. And in the case of the example we were working with yesterday, we find out that the target, kind of like Home Depot, is a do-it-yourselfer, is at home, maybe an empty nester, maybe a retiree. Who's working at Home Depot? They're generally older retirees, right? They're people that are helping you when you get lost, trying to find something in there. Same with Ace Hardware, same with the greeters at Walmart. Well, these are great employees. Why are they great employees? They have a work ethic. They know how to work, right? They wouldn't commit to something that they couldn't do. They're not all of a sudden going to get a request from their parents to return home, right? These are folks that want to be part of a team. They want to be part of something. What they were a part of was a family and kids, and now they're all gone. So they want to have a reason to get up, and they want to be part of this team. And hey, if you've got a uniform in your company, you got a vest, they're all in. You're golden. Now I'm really part of the team. I'm wearing the uniform. So remember that when you come to solving hard problems. The old way is not the only way. How did other people do it? How can we do it differently? Provided what we want to accomplish. So the second one, control what you can. There's a lot of stuff you can't control. You can't control who your boss is all the time. You can't control who your manager is. So how do you manage your manager? Because I'm telling you, if you have a great manager, count yourself lucky. It's like winning the Powerball. About 2 out of 10, right? 20% of your managers are going to be great. Why is that? Because there's no manager training, really. There's not a lot of it. There's no manager classes. There's bogus management classes, but really what they're telling you there is stuff you probably don't remember. You probably took a vocabulary test. So how do they get these managers? It's usually people that did your job. They did it so well that they promoted them so they can manage a bunch of people that were doing the job they were doing. Well, that doesn't always make sense, because if you're good at your job, that doesn't necessarily mean you have the skills, right, to manage people doing that job. You just know that job really well. So, remember, if you do, but we read a book from Jim Collins called Great by Choice. And in it, we talked about control what you can, do your best with the rest. And the example was the two men back in the late 1800s heading for the South Pole, Amundsen and Scott. Amundsen made it. He made it in record time. Scott died. Ooh, a little abrupt there. Why was that? Because Amundsen controlled what he could. He brought extra food, right? And he buried it along the way and put flags so he could see it. He did the same amount of miles every single day, right? He practiced what he played, right? You don't, like in this Super Bowl, they're not going to throw a play out there that they haven't practiced, right? So he lived with Eskimos. He compiled empirical data. He lived with Eskimos to see what it was like to be living in the cold, to wear that type of clothing, to eat whale blubber. He did a 20,000-mile bike ride to see what his body would react to under stress, right? He ate raw dolphin meat because that's what the Eskimos ate, to see how his body would react with that. He got empirical evidence. On the flip side, Scott read some stuff and then took some weird chances, right? Instead of dog sleds, he said, well, bigger, stronger, we're going to take ponies. Why don't ponies work? Well, if he had lived with Eskimos, he'd learned that ponies sweat, and sweat freezes, and then they die, right? So it doesn't work out so well. Didn't bring enough food, cursed the weather, which he couldn't control, because he didn't control the things he could, and that's why he didn't make it. So I digress a little bit, but so you have a manager, not so good. You want to get a lot out of this job, right? So that's why I say, here's what you can control. You can control your goals for the job, right? Because there's two kind of sets of goals. What do you want to get out of this job? You want to stay there about 2 years, right? What do you want to get out of this job? When you leave in 2 years, what can you say, boy, I learned this, or I achieved this skill. And if you say, I have no idea, you have some idea, right? It could be, well, how do I want to figure out that I don't like this job? Or what about this job really stinks? Or what about it really likes? So you want to set those goals for yourself. And how do we set those goals? Remember, SMART goals. They're specific, they're measurable, they're accountable, they're realistic, achievable, realistic, and they're timely. Two most important things, they are measurable and timely. Now, when you're sitting down with your boss, if they don't set them for you, set them for yourself, right? You want to make sure when you have that review at the end of the year, there's a list of items that everybody knows what they are, and everybody knows whether you hit them or miss them, right? And how do you set those goals? Well, another thing we learned in the Jim Collins book, Great by Choice, zoom out, zoom in. What does your company do? What do they find value in? How do they generate revenue? What's their most important thing? And then how does your job relate to that? And then you start building your goals for the year. You want to chip away at learning the skills to accomplish the things that you need to do to make the company successful and make you successful. What are those tasks? What are those things? And you set that out, and then you meet frequently. In the best of cases, you meet every week, right, for a one-on-one with your boss. But you check in on these goals at least monthly, quarterly, and so at the end of the year, it's never a surprise. And when you come to your end of year review, you write your review first and send it to your manager saying, hey, in preparation for a meeting, I kind of looked at the year, I'm summing up, here's what I kind of see the year is going. I'm telling you, they will love that. They'll love that for two things. You're proactive, you know what's going on, they're busy, not lazy, they're busy. You've just made their jobs a lot easier. So, and then when you do have these meetings, again, control, you can. What can you control? You control when the meeting is, how long it lasts, and you can control what you discuss. How do you do that? Remember from First Communications, professional meeting management. And if you don't remember, head on over to nailsed.com, where we have programs to teach you about effective meeting management. But I'll tell you what it is. The key takeaway is have an agenda and assign a time for each point on that agenda. A time-based agenda sent out to every meeting recipient, in this case your manager, at least 24 hours, preferably 48 hours before the meeting, so there is no excuse to say, ooh, I didn't get it, ooh, I don't know what the meeting is. This agenda helps you stay on track. This agenda is the item that you blame when your manager's blah, blah, blahing about how he's upset about his boss, right? You can say, boy, I'd love to talk further about that, but geez, Bob, we only got 5 more minutes on this point, and we got 2 more points after that, and our meeting ends in 30. So let's get back to that at the end. Hey, I'd love, if we have time at the end, I'd love to hear more about that. You're not being the bad guy. It's the agenda's fault. So manage your review the same way, have an agenda, reach out, write that review yourself. And that's where I talk about control what you can. And then for the rest of the year, do your best on the rest. All right. Learning number 3 from yesterday, I got a question. Hey, Professor Nalen, or a lot of students call me, hey, Nalen, what is business casual? What do I wear for business casual? Well, this is how you dress is part of creating your personal brand. And let me just level set everybody here. This is a podcast, but I also record it visually in case someone wants to watch it on YouTube or Loom. But I'm here alone in my house. The only audience are my 3 dogs. And yes, I'm wearing a tie. And I think I'm the only professor at MSU that wears a tie. So you know what I'm kind of going to say about business casual, probably a little more upscale than most. But I'm telling you, business casual is a button-down shirt. It is slacks, not jeans, and one of the most important, shoes. People get evaluated on their shoes. One of the first women I ever dated, she checked out my closet first. She was looking at my shoes. Shoes say a lot about a person. Good shoes are expensive. That's the bad news. The good news, treat them right, they will last forever. So, and buy 2 pair, right? Buy 2 of at least 2 of everything, because as my grandfather told me, never wear the same thing 2 days in a row. You want to give everything a day to rest. Plus, it kind of looks like you never left the bar and you rolled out and walked back to work in the same clothes. But anyway, you always want to dress one level up from your position in your business, one level higher than your client that you're visiting, one level up than your peers. And if it's too much, you can always detune. You can always kind of dress it down. So that's a button-down shirt, slacks, nice shoes, blazer if you got it. Again, I'm kind of weird. I still wear sport coats on airplanes. But I find coats are great. I like the pockets, but a nice vest, but not just a ratty old jacket, right? You want to look you want to look good, right? Same goes for if you have a lot of meetings virtually, a lot of Zoom meetings, WebEx meetings. Don't have it in your closet, clean up the background. No one wants to see a frickin' unmade bed. No one wants to see the kitchen sink. Nobody wants to see that. No one wants to see the top of your head. No one wants to see up your nose, right? Get a front-on view with the camera. Spend $20, get a decent light that lights it up, and get decent either microphone or headphones, because how you come across really affects the information coming out. You could have the greatest thing, you could be saying the greatest thing in the world, but if you're sitting in your closet and you got your laundry behind you and you're looking all ratty in a sweatshirt, no one's going to really buy it. Packaging matters, right? Think about the packaging of the iPhone versus the packaging of a Google Pixel, right? Packaging almost makes that iPhone almost worth $1,000, right? Packaging matters. I don't care how great you cook that ribeye steak. You serve it on to me on a dirty plate or a gross old paper plate. It's just not going to taste as good, right? So make sure you're conscious of your personal brand, dress for success, meet for success, and that's it for the office hours. Would love to see any of you out there next time. Spread the word. Like I said, it can be friends, family, siblings, anyone going through a transition. So what's next? My favorite, right? Super Bowl 58. Love it, love it. Love the game, love sports. But what do I love the most, being a marketing geek? Man, I love Super Bowl advertising. And it's an incredible thing, this Super Bowl. It's incredible, the advertising, the reach. Super Bowl last year reached over 115 million people. It's the most watched program in the history of the United States, according to Forbes. And it costs over $7 million for a 30-second spot. Same this year, over $37 million for 30 seconds. It's a lot. It's quite a bit of money. Last year, Fox, who televised the show, garnered $600 million of in-game ad revenue. That's not the pregame, which is hours, awesome pregame. It's not post-game, just in-game ads, $600 million. Why? Why are people spending this kind of money? We said it before, you're reaching 115 million people. Sports is pretty much the last thing people will wade through the ads. And in fact, at the Super Bowl, a lot of people are tuning in to watch the game. ESPN just published a survey of 2,050 people. Of them, 74% said they're going to watch the game. I don't know what the other 26% are doing on Sunday afternoon or evening. But they asked them, why are you watching it? 43% say they're watching the game. Number 2 was watching the commercials. 22% are tuning in just to watch the commercials. Another 19% watching the halftime show. And a whopping 16% love the Super Bowl. Why? Why? The food. Yes. Awesome. That's pretty much my number 2. Anyway, so who advertises and why? Of course, brands with a broad target. If you have a niche product, a narrow audience, right? Interactive, online, digital, social is better. Who's going to advertise this year? I haven't looked at the whole list, but what I did notice 2 Sundays ago at the conference championship games, I saw teaser ads. Teaser ads to be continued at the Super Bowl. So companies that are advertising on the Super Bowl are promoting their ads 2 weeks before. I don't think I've seen this before. And the teaser ads broke into 4 categories. One is snacks or food, Pringles, Popeyes, Doritos. Doritos coming from PepsiCo, which also owns Taco Bell, Pizza Hut. So we might see some ads there. We'll probably see some Pepsi ads. But they were doing teaser ads. Cars and vehicles, we'll probably see. We saw VW last week. We saw the Kawasaki four-wheeler Ridge. Interesting. I think it's the first time I've seen that kind of advertising. But we'll probably see some ads from Lexus. We're going to see beer. We saw Coors Light tease an ad. We saw Michelob Ultra tease an ad. I think that was with Ted Lasso. But the surprising one for me, and I don't remember this from previous years, there were at least 5 or 6 teaser ads for candy, Reese's, M&Ms, Oreos, Nerds, frozen drumsticks. Remember those things? The little, oh, they're awesome. Frozen novelty. So I've never seen this before. I'm not sure why. I have a theory. We talked about this in the 2024 predictions with the GLP-1 drugs, the Ozempics of the world, which curb your appetite, and especially for junk food. And I predicted that the people that make this junk food, the Doritos of the world, the Popeyes of the world, the Taco Bells of the world, the candy of the world, the crap found in the middle of the grocery store, are going to suffer. Maybe they're already feeling that squeeze, and they'd like to get more volume. And smart for these businesses to do it. These brands, we call them cash cows. They don't have to spend a lot of money building awareness. We know what Reese's is. We know what M&Ms are. But what they want to do is increase usage. Like, oh yeah, I know what M&Ms are. I haven't had them in a while. Because every additional one they sell, the margin is astronomically high because they've been making these products for years. They've already depreciated that asset. It's been written off the books. The expenses are way down. The margins on these things are huge. So any more that they sell is almost directly cash in their pocket. So we're going to see these ads. It's going to be fun to watch, interesting to watch. Why do they advertise? Of course, large captive audience. 72% of viewers rewatch the commercials after the ads. Like I said, a Forbes study said 25% say it's the most important thing, and the ESPN study says 22%. So it's it's just rare in this day and age to have a large captive audience. But again, with people scattered across all the streaming services, but this is the one time we're all together watching this. So how do you ensure you get your money's worth out of a $7 million ad spend? And really that's just for the media. There's probably spending $2 to $3 million producing the ad. So we're talking $10 million bucks. So how do you do it? You promote big brands, cars, big purchases, and what I call busy brands. Now, what's a busy brand? Busy brand is a brand that you buy frequently. It's not huge, but you're in the store buying it at least once a week, once every couple of weeks, and there's a lot of competitors. It's a busy category. And so let's just take beer. Walk into Safeway, Albertsons, Smith's, walk into the beer aisle, right? That aisle is the closest thing to heaven on earth. It's like 50 feet of all these awesome beer brands, right? Every week you go in there, you're bombarded with 50 choices, 100 choices, right? How do you make those choices? Well, the advertisers are hoping you'll pick them, right? You'll go down, you'll see the different bottles, and I didn't try this, but I'm thinking about it. Why? Maybe because I saw their ad. Same with candy, same with ice cream nut treats, same with salty snacks, right? Go down that salty snack aisle, chips, all those chips and tortilla chips and potato chips and chips, just lots of them screaming for your attention. And so that's a good one to advertise on something big like the Super Bowl. You need to entertain, right? You want to be unique, memorable, recognizable. You want to have high quality production. That's why I think these things are costing $3 to $5 million to produce. Evoke emotion, but not be too manipulative. You don't want to be too sad or depressing. You don't want to be too funny. I think we're going to be pretty conservative this year. People are so afraid of being canceled. They're not going to do anything wild on either side. I think we'll see a lot of vanilla down the middle, unfortunately. If you have a celebrity doing anything, pretty much anything, wakes up an audience, throw an animal on top of that, you got a winner. And so, and then you want to try to be relevant and on strategy with your brand. If you're completely different than your brand, it's a disconnect in the people's brain, and in 30 seconds, they just kick it out. And provide familiar points of reference. And what does that mean? A lot of times you'll see like a copy of a famous movie scene, or again, a character from a TV show, like we'll see Ted Lasso. This gives you, like, since you only have 30 or 60 seconds to get the message across, they have to do a lot of business in a short amount of time. So if they tether it to something else in pop culture, something else that it provides them more time to talk the brand, less time to talk the setup. So look for those as we go through that. So that's it. Oh, my prediction. It's not worth anything. I think I've predicted the Super Bowl correctly maybe once. Not in 58 years. I don't think I watched the first 5 or 6. So maybe in 50 years. But anyway, I think it's really hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. I think if there's any time left and the ball's in his hand, 13 seconds, remember that one. I think he wins. I think Andy Reid finds a way. I think San Francisco got more talent. I think the 53 players on their team, if you balance versus the Chiefs, they've got more talent. And I think Shanahan's an awesome, brilliant coach. But if you boil it down to Brock Purdy versus Patrick Mahomes, and the running defense on San Francisco not so hot, I think Kansas City can get a decent running game. Patrick Mahomes surprisingly well at running. I think they pull it off. I don't think it's high scoring. I think it's somewhere a total of 43 to 46 total points. I think KC wins 23 to 20, something like that. But anyway, so that's that. So that's kind of it for the NewsNale. Thanks for, again, everyone that came out to office hours. Remember, our next one is February 21st. For more information on that, head on over to nailsed.com and click on the office hours section to learn more. And that's it for this NewsNale, brought to you by NailsEd, which is a learning and development platform focused on professional communications in writing, presentations, and meetings. And this NewsNale was produced by Sky Montana and Abigail Soroka and their new intern, Ruby. Music by Slade Hudson. Someday we will get music as soon as I figure out how to edit on Loom. And fact-checking story sourcing by Rancher Pete, who can be found on Instagram at RancherPeteMT. And we want to thank you for listening. And any topics you want to cover, make sure to email me at peter@nailsed.com. Would love to hear from you. Would love to see you. Have a great weekend, and we will be talking to you next week.